Hello and welcome to Sew Amelia, my channel where I talk all about making a handmade wardrobe for me and my children. Welcome to this week's video, which is all about things that I made in January. Thank you so much for watching. As ever, to those subscribers who come back week after week, I so appreciate you coming back and watching, and I'm really excited to share all of the garments that I made this January with you. If you're new, or if you're someone that comes back and watches but haven't yet subscribed, I would so appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button and become one of my regular subscribed viewers. So I made a few things in January, a few things for myself and a couple of things for my children. Now, one of the first things that I made was my by hand London Jessica skirt, and I'll show you that now. So this is the most beautiful Liberty fabric that I saw on Instagram and then couldn't resist buying some. I did have a voucher that someone very kindly gave me for my birthday, so it was the perfect time to spend that. And it's called Tudor Houses, and I chose this version with the rainbows in between the houses. There are different colourways and I'll link the fabric below. I really love the Jessica skirt by Hand London. I have made it before in a black gingham fabric. I really like this panelled waistband up here. It's a deep waistband, which I really like. And then this beautiful gathered skirt. Now the pattern piece is extremely wide and I didn't have quite enough width for that pattern piece, so all that I did was cut the right length but just used the complete width of the fabric that I did have, and I still think there are plenty of gathers in there. You can see it's just such a beautiful wide gathered skirt. It's perfect for twirling in, and I really enjoy wearing this one. So in terms of sizes, in the end I did make a size 12 at the waist, and I graded that out to a 14 just at the hip part here of this gathered waistband. Now that gives me plenty of ease actually. It's very comfortable without being too tight. It's finished at the back with an invisible zip. I did try and pattern match across these pieces as much as I could. The repeat is not necessarily an even one, so it was quite hard to get that rainbow to match up, but I just did my best. There is a join here, and I made sure the rainbow joined up here, and there is another seam here, and again I just joined that rainbow there so that it would look relatively seamless in terms of the finished waistband. But I do like that panelled waistband finish. It's very flattering, it curves across the waist, so it's also very comfortable to wear. So that was my first make in January, the by Hand London Jessica skirt. Now this month Minerva were running a challenge called Sewn with New Look 2022, and they gifted me the New Look pattern that I'm going to share with you next in exchange for a review. I have been really enjoying looking at all of the beautiful slip dresses on Instagram, and I wasn't sure if it was a trend that would entirely suit me or my particular body shape, but I was keen to give it a try. So when Minerva announced they were running their challenge, I thought that was a good time to see if there was a pattern that I could use to make one of these slip dresses. And I chose the New Look 6347. Now the only thing I would say is with that pattern I did find the sizing a little confusing. On the pattern envelope it looked like I fit into a size 14 to 16, 14 across the bust and then a 16 across the waist and the hips. Which was a bit concerning because I bought the pattern, or I was gifted the pattern in a size 8 to 14. So I wasn't sure if it would fit me once I received the pattern. However, when I looked on the pattern pieces, it showed the finished measurements, and actually if I'd made the straight size 14 it would have been far too big around my bust. So using the finished measurements on the pattern envelope, I decided to make a size 10 across the bust, and then I did grade out to a 14 across the hips. And the first one I made was in this beautiful fabric from my Sew Hayley Jane box. It is a viscose, and I wasn't sure about this colour at first, but I really love it now, especially for the autumn and winter paired over a turtleneck. I've really enjoyed wearing this one. It's very relaxed and comfy. I'm all about the comfort when I'm running around after my children. I did make an additional waist tie just to cinch it in around the waist if I wanted to, but actually I haven't really used that very much. I've just enjoyed wearing it as a straight slip dress. So this was my toile, and I was so pleased with the fit, so I left it graded like that from a 10 across the bust to a 14 across the hips. It's not too fitted, there's still plenty of ease, it's a very relaxed fit, without being too loose across the bust, which I don't think would have been very flattering. It was a quick sew. This one came together very quickly because there are only a few pattern pieces. The pattern envelope says you can sew it in 1 hour. I did challenge myself to see if I could sew it up in 1 hour, and I couldn't. It did take me more like an hour and a half, and that's partly because I chose to hand sew these straps in terms of a finish. They are made with bias binding, which you sew from the back here all the way across the arm side, and then they go up and over and back to the back again, which is a really lovely way to finish off the arm side. It did just say to machine stitch it closed here, but I just wasn't sure that would provide a really neat finish, and I do like my garments to look as neat on the inside as they are on the outside if I possibly can. So I did decide to hand sew that closed, and it's held up fine so far. It was a quick and easy make because there are no closures. You just slip it over your head and you're good to go, which is always great when you're a busy mum of 3 or a busy anybody, to have a piece of clothing that you can pop on without any fixings or fastenings and just go and feel ready for the day. That's a winner in my book. So after I'd made that very wearable toile, I used the fabric that Minerva gifted me along with the pattern to make my second slip dress, and it's this beautiful Lady McElroy viscose lawn. I absolutely love this fabric. The flowers are just so beautiful, and I thought they were a perfect colour palette again for the winter, but I should be able to wear this over a t-shirt for the summer. In fact, I did do a little video showing how many ways that I have found that I can style these slip dresses, which was really fun to make and to explore how versatile these dresses really are. This came together really quickly. I finished it in the same way as the previous dress, just by hand stitching these straps on at the back. And yeah, quick and easy make, easy to wear. I think I've probably got enough slip dresses in my wardrobe for the moment, but come the summer I would love to make one in a slightly lighter coloured floaty viscose that I can pop on over a t-shirt to wear in the summer. So I will be making this pattern again. It was very quick and easy and enjoyable to sew as well as to wear, which is a win in my book. Now the next dress that I made for myself, I did a sew along video for, so I won't speak about it too much, and if you are interested in seeing the process that I went through to make this dress as well as details about sizing, then do pop over to that video from last week and have a look. It is called Sew a Winter Dress with Me, and it is this dress here. I absolutely love the colour of this fabric. This is a corduroy fabric, and I got this from Andrea and Karis at Beyond the Pink Door. Now what I did for this dress is I used the Bakerloo Dress pattern for the bodice and the skirt. I did lengthen the skirt by 2 inches because I do find it quite short, which is fine, but I wanted this to be more of a midi length dress, so I lengthened it by 2 inches. And then instead of that beautiful big collar, I took that piece off and instead I added this ruffled pie crust collar to the top. I simply cut out a length of fabric that was about 4 inches wide by 1 meter long, so that at the short ends, and then just gathered it into this neck line here. The other change I made was to make these beautiful big balloon sleeves, which are puffed at the top, and I used a free sleeve pattern for that from Rosary Apparel. I didn't want to put on a cuff. I always like to be able to push my sleeves up when I need to, so I just finished those sleeves with a little bit of elastic at the bottom. Now the Bakerloo dress, if you've sewn it before, you'll know that it just gets sewn up the back here, leaving a little opening at the top for a button closure. But because I was making this in a size 10, I knew it would be slightly more fitted, which was the look I was going for, so I decided to insert an invisible zip in this to make it easier to get on and off. What I did also do with this one is I made a fully lined bodice and skirt. You'll see I used a pink Coat Club label here. Sewing is my self-care. So yes, I fully lined that because normally in the Bakerloo dress you attach the collar with a bias binding. But just because this is a winter dress, I wanted it to be snuggly and warm. I didn't want it to cling to my tights because I sometimes find with corduroy that happens. I decided to fully line that with an anti-static lining that I got from Minerva. I absolutely love the colour of this. It really has brightened up a few very dreary January days, and I'm looking forward to wearing this as we head into the warmer spring weather. Now, if you've watched my week in sewing, you'll know that I made a loungewear set for myself this month, and I chose to use 2 patterns from Madeit Patterns. I absolutely loved sewing this loungewear set. I don't know what has taken me so long to sew a loungewear set. I haven't taken it off since I made it. I get back from the school run and the first thing I do, apart from feed the children, is to put my loungewear set on. It is so comfortable and cozy, and I don't think I've ever had a pair of tracksuit bottoms that fit me as well as these do. The tracksuit bottoms are called the Slow Pants, and they have this beautiful stripe on the side, which I really liked. And that is the same fabric that I made the top from, which was really nice to be able to tie the two together without them being exactly the same fabric, which I wasn't sure I wanted. You sew in these beautiful pockets here. Now I did end up using the same thick sweatshirt jersey that I used for the legs. In retrospect, that was probably a bit too thick for the pockets, but I didn't have another grey that matched. So perhaps if I make another pair, I might try it without the pockets, but they have been so useful. I'm not sure that I could quite bear to leave them off. So what I did with this pattern is I sewed the size 12 waistband here, and then I graded out over the hips to a size 16. There was probably enough ease in the size 14 for me to make just a size 12 to 14, but what I really wanted with these was a really relaxed, comfortable, cozy pair of tracksuit bottoms. So I chose to grade to the size 16 to just give me that little bit more wiggle room and ease over the hips, and I think that worked out really well. I'm very happy with the fit. They are a beautiful straight-legged pair of tracksuit bottoms, which I think works really well for my particular pear-shaped figure, and I've been really enjoying wearing these with a pair of trainers. They are cozy enough to wear in an evening, but they also look really put together as a set, and I can just about get away with going on the school run and out for a coffee in the village wearing this set, so I'm really pleased about that. And I should add, with these Slow Pants, I did use beautiful grey sweatshirting fabric that I bought from the rag shop. It's so cozy, really lovely and comfortably warm. I wasn't sure if it would be too warm now, as the weather is starting to warm up a little bit, but actually we've had such a cold snap, these have been worn a lot and have kept me beautifully cozy and warm. So to go with the Slow Pants, I made the Hug Hoodie. Now you'll see this has got this lovely crossover feature at the bottom, which was just so lovely to sew. It's nice to sew a sweatshirt that has a slightly different feature. It also has these raglan sleeves, which I haven't sewn before in terms of a sleeve finishing, so that was really fun as well. Now this is a Mind the Maker jersey that I got from Lamazi Fabrics, and I bought the matching ribbing for the cuffs and the hemband, but because the hemband is finished in one continuous line all the way around, you actually cut this hemband as one piece from the main fabric, which was fine. Again, I had enough fabric to do that, which was good, and I just love the finish of that. It's really comfortable to wear. I love the long arms, for me, that they are really long, which makes them really comfortable and cozy. I like where it finishes because I do wear quite a few cropped skirts and things, but were I to make another version, and I might have one upstairs that's already cut out and ready to sew up, I would add an inch, I think, at the lengthen and shorten lines, just so it falls slightly lower over my hips. It's fine as it is and it works perfectly with the tracksuit bottoms, but I think I would just like to try and add a little bit of length for next time and see how that looks compared to this version. But I'm super happy with that one. Now the other thing I sewed for myself this month that's not on the rail here because I'm wearing it is my Camden skirt, and I'll see if I can stand back a bit so you can see that. It is in a beautiful wide wale corduroy from See You at 6, and I bought that from Andrea at Beyond the Pink Door as well. And I lined it in some cotton that I had left over from Pigeon Wishes. I just love this one too. I really like the high waist. I prefer to wear my skirts fitted on the waist. And I also really like the warmth of the corduroy. I really like the wide wale. Wasn't sure how that would work out with the Camden skirt, but it's perfect. I love the fit. It is slightly fitted in terms of a skirt, but I can tell you it does work on the cycle. I always cycle the children to school and home again, and I can indeed wear this one on the bicycle, which means it's the perfect addition to my wardrobe, as I do need my clothes to be functional as well as pretty, and I think this definitely fits that bill. As I said in Nenali Patterns, I am a size 12 around the waist and a size 14 over the hips, so that's the same sizing that I used here for this skirt. I made the waistband as a size 12, and then I just graded out from the waistband to a size 14 over my hips. I did add 2 inches to the length of this skirt, as I do find it comes up quite short for my particular preferences, especially if I'm cycling. I want just that little bit of extra length to my skirts. So I did add 2 inches to the length of this, and I'm really pleased with where that's finished. It finishes just above my knees, which is pretty perfect. So the last thing I made was for my oldest son. He is growing like a weed, and I didn't have any sweatshirts for him that fitted. They were all coming up too short, and it was over the Christmas break, and I thought, I've bought some fabric recently that would be perfect for a sweatshirt for him, and it is this grey sweatshirting from Backstitch shop. And I just happen to have some cuffing from the Poppy range. I can't remember where I got this from. It's been in my stash for so long, but it's part of the Poppy cuffing range, and I'm sure you can find it in lots of fabric shops. I know Andrea at Beyond the Pink Door stocks this, so you can always pop to her shop if you're interested in buying some. And so I had this in my stash. I had this grey cozy sweatshirting in my stash that I had planned to use for myself, but I thought it would work for him really well, so I did decide to use it for him. The pattern that I used was the Ikatee Jasmin. Now on the cover this has got a little girl wearing it with ruffles here, but I think it's such a lovely wee sweatshirt pattern, and without the ruffles it works really well for a little boy as well as for a little girl. Now like I said, he's growing so fast. He is almost turning 9, and whilst he's quite slim and fits into mostly 8 to 9-year-old clothes, I did find when I sewed this pattern for him before, it came up a little on the small side. So I did decide to size up, and I made the size 10. It's a good fit on him. It's definitely a little bit big, but I'd rather that than too small or just right, because it means it will last him just that little bit longer. I didn't have quite enough cuffing to do the neckband out of the same cuffing material, but I thought that was fine. I just made it from the same fabric as the rest of the sweatshirt. And he hasn't taken it off since I made it for him. He wore it throughout the Christmas and New Year holiday period. I had to wash it overnight and put it out to dry so that it'd be ready for the following day, so I think that's a vote of confidence. He really enjoys wearing it, and it looks really lovely on him, so I'm really pleased. It's always nice when you sew something for your children that they do love and will wear. It doesn't always happen. So that was the Ikatee Jasmin sweatshirt for my oldest boy. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing what I got up to in January. It was quite a busy month, but a few of those makes were knit makes, so they came together quite quickly. And this red dress was just such a happy make. I really enjoyed making this one. It brought such a smile to my face. And isn't that why we sew? Both to make others happy when we can sew for them, but also just to make ourselves feel happy. It's such a lovely hobby when you know that you can make things that you enjoy making but also enjoy wearing. So it's been a really happy month of sewing, and I hope you enjoyed seeing what I made. So thanks once again for watching. I do hope you will join me next week for my next video, which will be my February plans. But until then, I hope you have a really happy week full of happy sewing, and I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye!